guys, it's Trish. Welcome back to another Dress It Up video. Today we're going to be making some fun hair accessories, and I'm going to show you here what we're going to need. We're going to need, first and foremost, of course, some really cute Dress It Up buttons. You can see I have a variety here. These are going to be St. Patty themed. Some felt. You're also going to need some wire, some hair accessories, and you can get these blanks at any craft supply store. Some trimmers, maybe a wire working plier there, and a glue gun. So let's get started, guys. Okay, guys, so to get started, we're just going to start with this one right here, and this is wire wrapped. This is one of the options I'm going to be showing you, and we're just using 4 of the flower buttons and some 3mm fire polish, which you can find on jessiejamesbeads.com, a little bit of felt, and some wire. So to start with, what I like to do is glue on a piece of felt because I like the background to be there. Now, if you wanted to fill it in more with beads or little buttons, micro buttons, you could certainly do that. But it's just as simple as gluing on your felt with your hot glue gun. And just get that. And I try to leave that hole kind of open on the end with the glue, because that way we're going to have somewhere that we can anchor our wire to. Okay, so it's as simple as that. You just put your felt on and run it down the length of the barrette, and you can see there that's a little wide for that barrette. So what I do is I'll just cut a piece that's a little bigger, and then I can just trim around it once I get it stuck on there, so it fits it very nicely. Okay, so I'm just gonna trim around the edges of that just to kind of neaten everything up. All right, so once it's trimmed, I'll look at it from the top and make sure that you see how that's like kind of sticking out there. It doesn't look real nice. I mean, we're going to have buttons on it anyway, but I still like it to look pretty even. A little bit more there. So that's not too bad. So we have that done. And then we're going to take our wire. This is 22 gauge wire. I cut about an 18-inch piece. And like I said, we're going to use these holes here and use this to anchor the wire onto our barrette. So basically, I put it up through the hole. Now I'm coming back down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wire and put it down through that hole. Okay, so I'm coming up over top with the other side, and I'm just going to take the end and just push it through so it goes downward. Okay, just a little bit of fidgeting here to get it down through. So I'm just pulling that down through. You can see there, I've got one side on. All right, I've got one side on at the top, but I'm just going to kind of move that around, get it where I want it, and make sure that it's on there nice and snug. Okay. So then we're going to bring that wire back around on that other side, and we're going to put it down through to poke out the other side of the hole. Okay. So we're basically just kind of wrapping this top so that everything's not going to just slide off easily or break off or come off easily. All right. So I have a good hold on that barrette. Okay, you can see both sides. And I'm just going to go in here and I'm just going to kind of tighten those up to where they're nice and snug on there. Okay, so that's good enough. That gets us a good mount on there. And I'm just going to take a tiny bit of hot glue, put back under this end, and just push that felt down on top of that. All right, so now we're ready. So you're going to want to pop your barrette open. I've found that's the easiest way to do it. Let's start here. We're going to do one of our white flowers this time. We're going to do, on this one I did white on the bottom and then wrap the green over top. But we're going to do some white ones this time on top of green. So I'm just going to go up through this hole in the middle of the button. Now you're going to want to use, for wire wrapping, I've found these kind work better. The ones that don't have shanks work best for this kind of project. At least I have found that. Okay. And then I'm just going to go down through the other hole. And I keep my, you'll see me like pop my finger in this wire here. And what it does is it keeps it from kinking as I'm pulling it downward. All right. So I've got it on there. Got it on my wire. All right. Then we're just going to do a wrap, and I'm going to bring it around that outside again. You don't want to make that too thick there because you want to make sure that your brick can close correctly. And then I'm just going to bring it, if you can see how I'm just bringing it underneath the button, and I'm going to feed the wire underneath the spring mechanism. All right. All right, and then I have that one on there, and I'm going to bring it up over the top. So now is where we can put on buttons, we can put on beads, more buttons or beads. So I'm going to straighten my wire out here because I need to pick up some fire polish. That's what I'm using on mine. And you want to make sure that you have a nice, smooth end to be able to pick up your fire polish or your beads, because they'll get stuck on the wire if your wire isn't smoothed out. So I'm just going to pick up 3, if I can get them here. All right, there's 2. There's 3. And it's as simple as just laying them across the top of your barrette, okay? And here's this end here poking down from when we initially wrapped on the wire, so we can go ahead and trim that off here shortly. So we're just going to lay those across the top, and we're going to take our wire and put it through between the spring and the base there, holding our beads in place. All right. And then back over the top. And you can choose to do another wrap in between there if you want to, but I'm just going to go right into putting a button on. And through the one hole, I just put it through the one hole and down through the other and pull. And you can see how it's building there for you. You got a button, beads, button. All right. Okay, so we've got our third button there, and we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to feed the wire between the spring and the top and wrap up around. Grab your fire polish. Okay, 3 fire polish across there. And then between. And then our last button. And when you put that flower on, guys, make sure when you put it through the first hole that you've got it nice and snug down on top of that barrette, because you don't want your wire to get warped if it's not tight down on there. It's going to give you trouble as far as kinking and things like that. So you just want it snug down on the bottom, and you're just sneaking that other wire through that side, okay? So everything can kind of stay snug and tight as you're feeding that through. And just pulling it. And then I'm kind of going up to the top here and just adjusting. And then pull. So to finish this piece off, we're just going to do our final wrap around for the button there. And we're going to bring it up to this end. Okay. I'm going to bring that wire in behind that flower. And I'm going to feed we can close that now for now. And you can feed your wire down through the hole in the end. The holes on the ends makes it really nice because you can really, get your wire attached well. And see how I'm bringing that back around again. Then down through You got to be careful when you're working your wire too much. It can become brittle. So you don't want to work harden it too much. And what work hardening means is you're just maneuvering it, messing with it too much, and it just becomes weak and brittle. So you got to kind of find that middle ground. So we got that through, and we're just going to go down through. Okay. And I can feel mine. It's work hardened quite a bit, but I think we're going to make it since we're close to the end here. So I'm going to pull that, and there we go. I'm just going to give it a couple more wraps for good luck. And then I'm just going to snip it off here. And then you want to make sure and tuck in the ends and flatten that down. We don't want anything to poke anyone in the head, that's for sure. So I'm just kind of taking my pliers and just flattening that all out. I'm kind of pointing that end down inside that hole a little bit, just to kind of keep that, make sure that's smooth, okay? Same thing here. We have our wire sticking out from where we started. And I'm just going to go in here and I'm just going to snip that short. And then press that down just to make sure that, if I can get in there, and just press that down to make sure nobody gets hurt. Okay. Now we're going to press down on this end a little bit like we did the other side, just to kind of make sure everything is nice and snug in there. And you can see I'm just taking my pliers in there and squeezing. Okay. And underneath here, you can see how these wires are sticking up a little bit. We don't want that. And we want things to be nice and snug under there. So what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to sneak your pliers in underneath between the top and the spring and just give a twist. Slight little twist. Okay. And this is a trick that wire workers use when they wrap cabochons and focal pieces, things like that. That tightens up the wire work for them on the back. Again, we're just grabbing it straight on. Whoops. We're grabbing it straight on and giving it a twist. And as we go up, we're going to do the same thing. Straight on, twist. Okay. Straight on, twist. And we got one more high and back here. If you can get your pliers maneuvered back there and just give that a twist. And let's just make sure we got all of them. I got one more back in here, but I think that's going to be okay if we just kind of press it down with our pliers. Okay. So, and then I'm going to go back here and I'm just going to press that down so it looks nice and neat on the back of our piece. Okay. Just going in there between. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Okay. And then close your Brat up, and there you go. You have a finished wire wrapped Brat. So let's move on to the next project, shall we, guys? Okay, guys, so our next project is just a simple snap Brat. And like I said, you can get these blanks at any craft store, really. So it's as simple as taking one of your buttons. If it's a shank button, you're going to cut that shank off the back, and I just use a pair of trimmers and snip it right off. And it's as simple as applying a little bit of hot glue. Oops. And just applying your button. And it makes you just an adorable little Brat. Now, you can also, if you can see these holes here in the back, see my glue came through a little bit. For the glue, you could put a little tiny piece of felt on the back, and that would make it look really pretty and finished. Also, if you were going to use, like, say, these flower buttons or something that has the two holes in them and not the shank, you could sew that right on with wire. You could just wire wrap that right on. It would also be another option. And just put a little piece of felt on the back, guys. And it's just that simple. So let's move on to our next one. Okay, guys, so for our next fun Brat, we're going to do a simple glue on method. Okay, and this is one that I made before, and you can see I filled in with the small buttons in between, which looks really cute. But on this one, I think we're going to just use the shamrocks the whole way across with the unicorn in the middle. And again, we're just going to take a little bit of felt and glue it on. We don't have to worry about the holes this time because we're not going to be wire wrapping. We're just simply taking our glue gun and gluing our felt to the top of the blank. Oops. There we go. Just lay that down. Give it a couple minutes and then we'll trim that. In the meantime, we can cut the shanks off our buttons, and you can see it's the same concept as we did before. We're just going to take our trimmers in there. Even if you have a heavy-duty pair of scissors or anything, you can cut the shanks off. You don't have to have this particular tool. And I'm just cutting the shanks off of all of the buttons I'm going to use. And I love these little unicorns and shamrocks. They're just adorable. But if you use the flat buttons like I did here and here, you don't have to worry about cutting the shanks off. Okay, and there we go. So we got our shanks removed. Oops, get that out of the way. And then all I'm going to do, guys, is the same thing. I'm just going to trim around the edges of this just to get it so it's nice and neat. Because we want our barrettes to look as neat as possible. And I'm just going to trim this end. And just up the side here. Okay. Well, my scissors are kind of dull, guys, so you'll have to forgive me. And I can see here, there's a little bit of a lifted spot. So I'm going to put some more glue on there. And just push that down. You can do that. If it starts to lift anywhere, you can just add a little bit more glue. But I think that end's good. Everything else seems to be laying nice and neat. So there's our base. And it's as simple as gluing on. I'm just using a hot glue gun. You could use E6000. You could use super glue. Anything like that would work. But I'm going to start with my middle piece and then fill in from there. So I'm just putting a nice amount of glue there. And I'm just going to add my pretty unicorn right in the center there. Isn't she gorgeous? Look at that glitter. I just love her. And then it's just as simple as adding on our shamrocks. Dollop glue there. Okay. And a dollop of glue there. Just as simple as gluing, guys. Look how cute we're coming along. Isn't that adorable? And then more glue there. And this is certainly the easy version of it. Like I said, you can add little buttons or beads on there as well. Okay. And that's it, guys. It's as simple as that. You'll have an adorable barrette to wear for St. Patty's Day. Isn't she a doll? Okay, let's get into our next one, guys. So last but certainly not least, we're going to do a hair comb. Again, craft store, very simple to find, very easy to use. And we're just going to take our base, which is a blank comb, and we're going to do the same thing we did with our unicorn barrette. We're just going to glue the buttons on. So I'll start again with my center one. I like to do that and then build out. And I'm just going to take that and glue it on there. Get it up as high as I want there. Put a little bit more glue behind it. All right, and then just give it a minute to set. Just a second. And I'm just applying a little bit of pressure so it lays flat. So there's one. And then I use these really cool micro buttons to accent along the top of it. So it's as simple as pasting your glue dots and adding your buttons. And you can do them exactly on the, see how I have mine just a little bit higher. You don't have to do that. You can have everything lined up perfectly straight. You can use multiple colors. You could use beads to glue on. All kinds of stuff. Ribbons or laces. That one. I think we're going to get, we're going to get 4 across each side. And then add our button 2, and then just exact same on the other side. I like to do one at a time so the glue doesn't dry out as I'm getting my buttons put on, because I'm a little slow. That happens when you get older. Okay. I have found so many uses for these micro buttons and the micro hearts. They just seem to work on absolutely everything. So if you have a chance, guys, get your hands on some of those. Okay, and one more. And how long did that take me? Oh, I don't know. Not even a minute. And look how cute. It's just as simple as that, guys. Super fun. Okay, guys, so that's it. Here are all of our fun projects that we created today. I hope you enjoyed this video, as I certainly enjoyed making it. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.